Hey pretty girls, it's Rachel here. Thank you so much for watching. So I get this question a lot, especially since it's kind of back to school season, and it's all about organization, how to keep on top of your homework, how to keep on top of all your projects and stay ahead and stay organized. I have experience at business school. I finished all of high school and elementary school, obviously, and my 4-year degree, and then 2 years on the workforce. So I have tons of experience with organization. So these are a couple of tips that I have for you guys that I found really helpful, and they work really well for me. And feel free to comment below with your own tips. I would love to hear all about them. And let's get started. The most important thing that I find most helpful when staying organized is getting an agenda. Now, this doesn't have to be, this can be just a notebook. I just use like just a regular notebook. You don't have to go out and buy like a fancy agenda that gives like each day and whatnot. So the way that I use it is each day I'll write a bunch of things that come to mind for me. The first things that are most important to me, I'll break out each project into manageable tasks and I'll write them all on a big list. And then I start prioritizing them. So what needs to get done right away, like ASAP, what needs to get done by end of day, what needs to get done end of week, and what would be nice to get done. So that way I have an understanding of what my priorities are for that particular day and what I need to get done at some point during the week. From there, I start prioritizing each of the points. So number 1, number 2, number 3, what have you. You can get free software or like a free download for Excel or whatnot of the year's calendar. I don't bother with agendas because I find if it's closed and it's like by day, I forget what's happening in the next month. So I will print that particular month or maybe the next 2 months worth of calendars just on one big, 8.5 by 11 sheet. And I'll take it and I'll start highlighting. So blue is for tests. Yellow is for papers. System has to be. Write in times and schedules and tests and where they are and when they are and all that good stuff. From there, I have it pasted on this I had this little clip-on thing that attached to the side of my monitor for my computer at home, and it kind of went out and it had my schedule right there. So I could see it at all times and I would know and be able to stay on track of things. I also have a photocopy of that month's calendar in each of my binders for each of my subjects, and I keep that at the front in the laminated little glossy paper holder thing. Keep that at the front, and I also keep my school schedule at the front as well, so it shows me what class is next. I know a lot of people like to separate each of their binders by notes and handouts and tests and all that stuff. So the way that I typically do it is I just do it all in order. So, if my notes are here, then the next page will be, a quiz and then a couple of handouts, and then it goes in order so that when I'm reviewing, everything's kind of there in front of me and I can kind of follow the flow of things. And once I get to the end of a section, I've had my big test and I kind of just need to keep the notes together for my exam. I typically take them completely out of my binder if I'm not going to need them anymore, and I'll bull clip them together and I will put them in a binder at home for studying. I always bring a small, a mini, a really flat 3-punch hole with me, tons and tons of pens and pencils, 2 calculators. I love to be prepared, and I always keep it in the outside pocket of my backpack so I don't ever have to think about it. It's always going to be in there. At work, I like to use folders. We don't typically use binders, and we keep a lot of our stuff on our computers, and I will have all the folders kind of sectioned out in one of those folder organizers just in front of me on my desk, so I can clearly see all of the labeled projects, and then I can pull it when I need it. So for university, we would buy our own textbooks. So I would go through, I would highlight the chapter in the textbook, then I would take notes on it, and then I would type it up. And that it kept reinforcing what I was kind of trying to teach myself. It was really important to learn not to highlight everything, but to highlight keywords, key important things that you think will come up in tests, and then reviewing it and kind of summarizing it when you're writing out the notes. Don't just write verbatim what is in the textbook, because that's not going to help you. That was a huge mistake that I made coming out of high school and going into university, because I spent so much time just memorizing everything that I didn't take the time to learn the skills that were necessary for university, which is understanding the material. It's really important to really sit there and understand the material. Get a tutor, talk to your professors or your teachers. Really take the time, because those skills are going to be so important once you get into the workforce. Studying for tests is always a tricky one, and it takes a lot of time and preparation for me. The first thing that I do is I compile all my notes and I start highlighting them. So I start going through and putting question marks or questions beside things I'm not really sure about or I don't quite understand. I'll talk to some of my peers and see if they understand the material well, or I'll book some time with my professor. And I like developing cheat sheets, and I highly recommend it. Is you would take all of your notes and start condensing them. So let's say you've taken like 30 pages of notes, condense all of those notes down to 10 pages of notes, and then 5 pages, and then 2 pages, and then 1 page of notes. You will know the material so well, you will ace the test. Once you start going through and having to pick out, you will start memorizing these things, and they'll stay in your brain a lot more. Keep your desk organized. So whether it's at school or at home, I just had a glass or like a container that contained all my pencils, pens, glue sticks, highlighters. I would have 2 or 3 pads of plain, like blank white paper, as well as lined paper and graph paper, depending on what subjects you're taking. So those are all of my tips. I'm sure I'll have more, and I will post those in my blog if you guys are interested. I'm going to do a ton more to my blog. I'm going to be adding recipes there and a ton of other good stuff. So for sure, check it out, and don't forget to subscribe. And I think that is everything. I hope you guys learned something, and hopefully I helped you in staying organized for back to school. Good luck, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, guys. Mwah.